My name is Benjamin Loring. I'm the Associate Director at the Center for Eurasian, Russian, and East European Studies. And today, on the last day of classes at Georgetown, we have a presentation by Dr. Bartosz Rydlinski. Dr. Rydlinski received his Ph.D. in political science last spring, and he is currently assistant professor at the Cardinal Stefan Wyszynski University in Warsaw. He is also project manager at Amicus Europae Foundation, which is the foundation of former President of Poland, Aleksander Kwasniewski, who of course was a visiting professor at Georgetown University a few years ago. Currently, Dr. Rydlinski is a visiting researcher at the Center for Eurasian, Russian, and East European Studies at Georgetown, and he is going to do a presentation today titled A Return to Serfdom or the Golden Age, Poland's 10 Years in the EU.
Okay, Benjamin, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention and that you had time, especially during the last day of classes to attend such presentation about the Polish 10 years in the European Union. Before I will start, I would like to say that 2014 is a very special year for Poles from particular reason. First of all, this is the 25th anniversary of the democratic changes in Poland, so everybody knows this particular poster from Solidarność from 4th of June 1989, and that Tadeusz Mazowiecki, who was first not communistic prime minister, not only in Poland since Second World War, but also in the Central and Eastern Europe. This is also the 15th anniversary of joining the NATO. There is a video from I think it will be, if they will be a little bit louder, it will be even better. The phrase was from Bronisław Geremek when Poland joined the NATO. He said that Poland is going back where it always belongs, to the free world. But we have also 10th anniversary of the European Union accession. And basically, I would like to talk a little bit about how Poland changed during that decade. So, first of all, I would like to say from the very beginning that accession to the European Union was not an easy task. And I will show you a few significant pictures. First of all, this is that picture, which shows that Włodzimierz Cimoszewicz, Minister of Foreign Affairs at that time in Copenhagen 2002, he was basically not optimistic about the end of the negotiations. As probably you know, in the European Union, the negotiation took a very long time. It was very tough for the discussions. And basically, dramatism of the situation was that Poland went with three other Visegrad Group countries for the negotiation, with Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Hungary. And history like to repeat pretty often, Poland being by themselves in the end. But it was pretty good, big success. We can see in the picture Prime Minister Leszek Miller at the times, three deputy Prime Minister Marek Pol, Grzegorz Kołotko, Jarosław Kalinowski, and Włodzimierz Cimoszewicz, who basically didn't look very good at that time. It is the group photo after the negotiation, but basically that particular press conference was very significant for Poles. Basically, it was the anniversary of the martial law, 13 December 2002, when one of the Danish journalists said that the basically era of the Second World War over that time. After that, we had the membership referendum. And basically, we had at least two opinions, right, as always, right, yes and no. So one of them was, of course, for yes. Like the President Kwasniewski at that time, he was one of the biggest advocates of joining the European Union. And he said, tak, jestem Europejczykiem. Yes, I am the European, right? And he was extremely for joining the European Union. He was the face of the referenda, which also was helped by also NGOs. This was not only governmental, but also NGOs. Schuman Foundation, the private foundation, was basically also involved in that campaign. And of course, there was then no for the European Union, more or less right-wing oriented environments in Poland. They said that basically Poland went to the serfdom one more time in the history. So this is the reaction after the referenda. So we overthrown, let's say. So Aleksander Kwasniewski said like that Poland is joining to the European Union as a proud, ambitious nation. And I would like to show you also the result of this referendum, because it is pretty interesting. Like the turnout was for Poland was very big, you know, it was very huge, 58%. But comparing to the another European Union member states, you know, especially when we compare, for example, like the overthrown, the turnout of the referenda in France, Germany, and so on, it was pretty small. But for was a big majority, 77%. And people in the referenda said yes for the European Union. And Poland joined the European Union in 1st of May 2004. It is pretty late evening, because like the President Kwasniewski, Leszek Miller, and also like the spokespersons of the parliament was waiting to join the European Union in 12 a.m. So I would like to answer a few questions about if the European Union membership has been good for Poland. And I would like to use objective economic data, because, you know, in the political sciences we know, as Michel Foucault said, that what does it mean objective truth for the political scientists. So I would like to use the economic one. So before I will show you a few data, I will show you a few points from the starting point. First of all, GDP was not bad. It was more or less 4%. But the employment rate was huge, you know, 20%. But there have been a lot of main concerns. Even European Union supporters had such concerns that the price will increase, that the Poland will subsidize the European Union, that employment will increase. I don't know what will happen after 20%. You know, I think it was like the top point of unemployment. Agriculture will totally collapse, and the Polish land will be purchased by foreigners, right? So there are these fears among the Polish society. So let's go on. Basically, Poland almost doubled the cumulative GDP. When we see that graph, we can easily see that Poland are a little bit different than the other member states. Not only by the, I don't know why I cannot change. Here I cannot show from obvious reasons. Okay, so we can see that 2008 was a crucial year for Poland, right? Financial crisis hits not only to the new EU9 member states, which went with Poland to the European Union, but also all European Union 27 member states went basically down, right? Poland was still in progress, right? And this is tough economic data. And we can even also see in the billions, right? So for you, like we have more or less 3 zlotys, we pay for $1, right? So just for you as Americans to understand what is the number of the Polish economy. Is Poland a green island? This is what Prime Minister Tusk very often said. This is the picture from 2009. And when we can see, he was right. 2009, Poland was above the 0 level, right? So when we compare, for example, Poland to Latvia, -17, or Lithuania, -14, we've been, only Poland and Romania have been above, right? And we can see that GDP growth annually is going every single year above the 0 level, right? So we are still in progress, even in very tough economic years. Even if we compare like the cumulative GDP growth in terms of the economic crisis time, 2007, 2013, so like the all new European Union are below 0, new member states more or less 0 level, and Poland had 20% plus. I also like to use such economic factors as foreign direct investment and export, you know, because I know that my presentation is not too long, right? So I can only show you another examples, but this is the factors I would like to show you. So foreign direct investment and export. So when we will see both factors, they are all the time in progress. You know, every single year, even doesn't matter if there is a crisis or there is no crisis, like the export and foreign direct investment is going up. And even if we look on the region, Poland is a regional leader in that. Because when we look on the FDI inflow, Poland is basically massive leader, right? We can see that if you are the foreign investment, you know, if you are the foreign company, 30% of them choose Poland, right, to invest. In export, there is no such domination. We are still #1, but it's pretty interesting. Look on the Visegrad Group countries. 4 countries have more than 75%, right? So in export, like the Visegrad Group, we are like the regional union in the European Union, right, in that sense. And so as a region, we are also very strong in the European Union. So how does Polish society perceive their acceptance in the European community? I will show you a Eurobarometer graph, which also shows that Poland basically starts from the lower point that all new member states. That we, in 2007, basically changed the opinions, right? So right now, Poles are more in favor that our, let's say, neighbors, which went with us, which joined the European Union in 2004. Eurobarometer stopped to ask this question in 2011. I don't know why, but this is the end of their research. But we have CEBOS report, right? We have our home, opinion, which basically shows right now, I checked yesterday, 89%. And this is the European crisis effect, right? That basically Polish people, after annexation of the Crimea and such situation in the region, they are much in favor of the European Union. And this is also pretty symptomatic, especially comparing to the Hungary, that the Polish society have, let's say, the Euro supporters dominating all social demographic groups, age groups, and political parties, right? So when we would see, for example, in such political party as Jobbik in Hungary, or even Fidesz, we don't have such parties in Poland, right? So basically, even PiS, which basically sometimes from time to time show themselves that they are not much in, for example, for the federal Europe, but still, even PiS supporters are, as a majority, are for a European Union. And Poles recognize themselves not only as Europeans in the cultural sense, because in that sense, for example, Ukrainians claim that they are also Europeans, but also the citizens of the European Union. And this is pretty interesting map, that Poland is number 3, attached to the European Union. Pretty interesting is the Czech Republic, I don't know what's going on with our Czech neighbors, but they are not so in favor as Poles, right? But we can see that basically Poland are still in the top 3. So let's go on. So why Poles are not afraid of the European Union, right? So this is the big question for researchers in Poland, why Polish society, which basically is pretty conservative, pretty Roman Catholic, they are not afraid of the European Union. So there is a phrase that this is the nation of travelers, pilgrims, and migrants, right? So basically, one of the biggest pieces of the Polish culture being written or made in, for example, in Paris or in London, right? This is the Polish diaspora, globally, more or less 20 million people, So we can see that we were worldwide. When you see the Polish diaspora right now, legally, after, which went legally after 2004, especially to Great Britain in the beginning, Ireland and Sweden, but after also to Germany, we can see that in official numbers, there is more or less 1,800,000 Polish people living more than 3 months abroad. So we can see like the Germany and Great Britain, this is the countries which basically Poles decide to go. But even if you add the temporary workers, you can see this is also a huge number. So more or less, for example, right now there is 2 million Polish people, living, working abroad in the European Union in that sense. And also, when we can see on the Erasmus, so exchange program, so students love Erasmus. In Poland, basically, a lot of students go to Erasmus, but also academics, so we professors. We also decide from time to time to go to abroad, so this is there is a big chance that, for example, next year, that time I will be in Trier, in Germany, right? Having lectures for German students. But we can see that Poles basically travel a lot, in that sense, in the European Union. But what can have been done better, because I don't want to have the Euro propaganda, this is, I would like to also show some weaker side of the Polish accession to the European Union. First of all, we achieve only 67% of the PPP GDP, right, average. We start with 29%, and we have 67, right? So other new member states, I don't know, for example, Malta, they achieve, much better result than we. But we are a pretty big country. We have also, as a big country, we have our opportunities, but also our problems in that sense. We are one of the most polluting economies. We pollute a lot. You can see that basically, in that sense, we are almost like China. We base on coal. You can see that in other terms, we are pretty, we are reducing our pollution, but still, CO2. We pollute a lot. We have one of the cheapest labor force. This is we call this Little China, you know, because when you will see, I know the Professor Smith used this graph on the classes, but Poland is, you know, one of the cheapest places to, you know, like for labor. Among 20 richest regions of the European Union, there is no Polish region, but among 20 poorest, there is 5 of them. Namely, voivodeship lubelskie, podkarpackie, podlaskie, warmińsko-mazurskie, and świętokrzyskie. So we can see that, for example, also like Poland, it is not like, say, the richest country in the European Union, also in that particular sense. Like the 5 voivodeships are, you know, among 20 poorest regions of the European Union. So what are the main expectations of the Polish politicians regarding European Union policy in the future? And most of them are connected with the foreign policy, not the domestic or internal affairs of the European Union. Effective common foreign security policy, this is a crucial point. But also further development of the Eastern Partnership, but also EU enlargement agenda. Sometimes we forgot about this map. You know, like the blue, like the green one, here are the states which basically are there on the path to the European Union. So we cannot forget about the Balkans, and this is what the Polish policymakers are saying all the time. But also Eastern Partnership. Few of these countries already signed this accession agreement, but I will tell you a little bit later. So in that sense, Georgia and Moldova, they signed already the accession agreement. And this is the reason why the policymakers in Poland are saying that we should show our support to these 2 particular countries. But we also are one of the biggest advocates of the Ukraine. So this is the reason financial and political support. This is very important for the European Union as a whole. Today, your government, American government, already declared another sanctions, right, to the Russian political environment. I really doubt that the European Union will tell anything further that they already announced. Especially that when we look on that picture from the economists, we can see that we, as a Poland, what the Polish policymakers said, that we must have more realistic policy towards Russian Federation. And this is the reason why also Prime Minister Tusk is so for common European Union's energy system. And also, last but not least, euro currency. We are not the members of the Eurozone. But we already said that we will not join the Eurozone as long as there is no fixed problems. So more control, less speculative assets. We don't want to repeat, let's say, we would like to learn from the Greece and from Spain and from Italy, you know. That basically we should base on the very tough economic data. And this is also with the banking system. Our banking system is pretty young, it's from the 90s, and basically in Poland works pretty well. So when we see the euro currency, we would like to join the very strong euro, not the broken euro. And what is the Poles' role in the European Union? What is our aim in that sense? And there is a big question mark about the German-Polish leading tandem in the European Union. You know, there is a huge differences between, because we know that the European Union for many years been the almost like the French-German body, right? Like basically Gerhard Schröder and Jacques Chirac basically decide about the future of the European Union. But right now there is a huge differences between Germany and France, also from the political reason, but also on the economic one. So there is very significant phrase from Radek Sikorski, who said in late November 2011 that he's probably the first Polish foreign minister who said, "I fear German power less than I'm beginning to fear German inactivity." Right? That basically, like the Polish foreign minister said to Germany, okay, if you need our help, basically we are for your role in the European Union, and we can make it, right? And there is also chemistry. I know that Gerhard Schröder has also chemistry with Gazprom, but to be frank, Gerhard Schröder was the biggest advocate of the Polish accession to the European Union. And right now, Angela Merkel and Donald Tusk, they have also very good relations. So before I will finish, I would like to also add one more thing, why 2014 is so special, but also what is the big honor and privilege for me as a young Polish professor to have such opportunity to speak with you at the Georgetown. This is also Jan Karski year in Poland. Basically, we are showing our tribute to the just a man who used to be not only the Polish or Jewish or American hero, it was of the human being history true hero. So, Benjamin, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's a great honor and privilege to speak at home University of Jan Karski. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Questions for Dr. Rydlinski?
My name is Molly O'Neill from Johns Hopkins. I very much enjoyed your presentation. I wanted to ask you if you would have anything to say about the, before the Ukrainian crisis developed, there had been a period of time during which the Polish foreign policy had begun at least some level of tentative rapprochement or attempts to kind of narrow differences with Russia. And I was wondering, what do you think what lessons can you draw? I mean, do you think that this was mistaken from the outset? Do you think anything is still available in terms of communication or exchange of information, or any possibility of that channel serving any purpose in this current mess that is?
With Russia?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we don't have war with Russia, right?
True.
This is good to underline, right? We have still diplomatic relations, right? We have our ambassadors, so we didn't send ambassadors, which is basically like they show that we have still very good relations. But not only Aleksander Kwasniewski, he's my boss. I don't want to, underline him all the time. But basically, most of the policymakers in Poland said that we and Russia have different interests in that sense, Don't get me wrong, I'm not in favor of saying that the new Ukrainian government is, let's say, pure democratic, honest and liberal sense team. I think that Yanukovych been overthrown. He was basically legally elected president, probably responsible for bloodshed in Maidan. But what is pretty symptomatic for Poland that our intelligence very often, and not only our, like the Polish one, but the European, said that like the Russian secret service take part, like the secrets, like the agents take part in the Maidan from in Berkut, right? When there was shooting to the innocent people, on the street, basically we said as a Poland, no. This is the reason why Polish Prime Minister of Foreign Affairs went with his German and French colleague, to make this agreement. Unfortunately, this agreement was for the 2 hours, more or less, So Poland, for many weeks, said that calm down, ask, for example, let's say, international organization to make, let's say, investigation, and after probably there should be the normal free elections in Ukraine. But same time, what Russia done? They went to Crimea, and we said this is the violation of the international law. This is the sovereign part of the Ukraine. And we were saying also to our American allies and British one that you promise in 1994 in Budapest that it will not happen. So with Russia, we have the official, let's say, relations. We have, let's say, we can exchange our opinions, but we don't agree on basic facts. Right. Yeah. And of course, there is also few another problems with us, and this is connected with Smolensk. In Smolensk 2010, like the presidential plane crashed, and I'm not saying that it was attack. I'm saying that this demolished plane is the property of Polish state, and we don't have this plane in Poland still. This is still in Russia, right? So this is the reason why all political parties are saying that this is pretty diplomatic scandal. That our property, is in Russia. And this is for these families, this is almost, this is the symbol, they would like to have it back in Poland. And there is many other problems, Georgia, the same, Moldova, the same. We are saying that, for example, that Transnistria, it is not a dependent state. We are saying this is, let's say, let's say the province which belongs to Moldova. But still Russians say, no, this is independent state.
They never recognized it.
No, right. So you know what I mean, right? That there is a lot of problems.
De facto, exactly.
Right.
Not,
right, but this is not recognized. Who will recognize Transnistria? Russia and nobody else. Even,
Russia hasn't.
Right. But basically they recognize their passports and also and so on and so on. and also, when we speak about the another terms on the energy supplies for Europe, right? We are saying that what the Polish Prime Minister said, that you cannot use the price of gas as a political tool, you know, because basically every single time it demolishes the economy, both economies, Russian, you know, and the Polish one, for example, the European. Already they shut the gas twice to Ukraine. And every single time they suffered a lot, the Russian Federation. And so what I can tell you briefly, that we talk each other, we exchange the opinions, but there is a common sense, you know, of our policy right now.
Right now. No, but all I meant was that at one time it seems to have been believed that there was some hope of improvement, but apparently that just wasn't happening.
Hope improvement was on the 7th of basically 7th of April 2010, 3 days before the plane crash, because Vladimir Putin went with Prime Minister Tusk to commemorate the victims of Katyn, right? And it was basically like the new sheet, right? We opened another chapter, right? But after 3 days, you know, something happened. And don't get me wrong. In my private opinion, it was accident, right? But every single any further steps been extremely anti-Polish. You know, that's every single time when the Polish authorities and the Polish government ask for this plane or even black boxes, you know, like the original one, there is still like no feedback, no, and you don't use such words when you have very friendly relation with another country.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation of Professor Moore. You mentioned that 89% of people polled supported the Polish membership of the EU as of this month. After the U.S., NATO, who they were, U.S. only, I think, troops went in, or was it before?
No, before. It was like, no, like before the new troops landed last week. It was in April, so they made the research in late March, right? So in late March, basically, Poles been extremely for the European Union because, let's say, Poles accepting also the NATO membership, but also this is the military ally, right? But they also accept the political relations, right? So they know, for example, that if our economy will be stronger connected to the Germany, like also Germany can protect us, you know, because it's also in their own interest.
How much did it riot the percentage? How much was it?
So it was between 74 to 89, right? So it was so you can see that it was that hot. But Poles basically they are extremely afraid. You know, I'm here in Poland in United States since February. So I already spoke with my grandma on Skype. And she was already saying that she's ready to take the weapon and fight, you know, if there will be a war, you know. I said to my grandma that I don't know your force, you know, I don't know how many people you can basically kill. But I said that, you know, I'm living in the United States in Roslyn, so I can see the Congress from my window. If there will be any war, I'm even worse position because there won't be no normal war, there will be nuclear war, right? So, but basically, of course, I'm saying to my grandma, you know, just to say that her opinion was basically based on not real arguments, but people are extremely afraid. You know, you can see also in polls. You know, also when you check the NATO support, it is increasing. You know, like polls basically after Crimea's situation, they said yes, we are even for American troops in Poland. You know, before when there was a missile defense, it was so 50% for, 50% against. Right now, the majority is for.
How much before for that 50-45%?
No, so it was still all the time, you know, like 50, like for NATO was 60%, 70%, but after, you know, current situation in Ukraine, this is more or less 80% polls, you know, also in the CEBOS report, you know, they are for NATO and US, and basically US troops in Poland.
Dr. Smith?
So I love the slide of Poland as the green island, and it made me think about the contrast between the Polish growth statistics and this, you know, great story of Polish success story and Visegrad 4. So do Poles still have much to do with Visegrad? Is that now sort of an outdated alliance isn't the right word, but an outdated community or association.
We have the phrase that the Visegrad Group died in Denmark in Copenhagen 2002. You know, when basically Polish government was by themselves. You know, all the friends from the region, they said, no, we are done. You know.
They didn't want to
right. No, they want to negotiate for, you know, the price of you know, of supporting the milk and so on and so on. But from the pragmatic point of view, after we joined the European Union, you know, we discovered that we must be a team player. You know, that like the new member states must bring the coalition. You know, that we in the end we vote. You know, and the algebra, this is the queen of policy, right? So basically the math rules. You know, and we basically already discovered we have common interests with Slovaks, with Czechs, with Hungarians, and we're also trying to build with them, let's say, local ally also on the energy sources, you know, because we know that basically so Russian Federation are bringing another so sound stream right now, you know, which basically will go to Hungary, right? And we are very often say to Viktor Orban that, listen, Viktor, what do you think about that we will exchange the gas, you know, or oil? And he's very pragmatic, you know, okay, if it will be good for the Hungarian economy, why not? You know, but when we already discovered in the Crimea situation that he said that Crimea, for me, doesn't matter, you know, because I have my own business, you know, with the Russian Federation. But we already discovered that, especially against the, because there is the difference between the old member states and the new member states. You know, like the interests are pretty similar, right? For example, when I showed our pollution, you know, so we are basically all 4 member states very similar. Except that we don't have the nuclear power plant, right? And we are saying, okay, we are for, let's say, green economy, but give us the money to reform our economy. We cannot basically stop to, you know, to make the electricity from coal because our economy will die in that sense. And this is the reason why our Czech, Slovakian, and Hungarian colleagues, yes, we are for. We accept, you know, Polish voice in that sense. So we had the pragmatic coalition right now, but this is not basically connected, you know, with the higher values, you know, that we are, I don't know, Central European among the other. This is more pragmatic.
Can I follow up that? Is Poland not concerned about, you know, Fidesz and Orban and, you know, somewhat of an authoritarian kind of direction? Is that not something that's part of your dialogue?
It depends which party you are a member of. If you are, let's say, for law and justice, you are much in favor of Fidesz. There is Chairman Kaczyński, he said once, wczoraj Budapest, jutro Bruksela. So it is yesterday Budapest, tomorrow Warsaw. You know that he's for strong position towards, you know, European Union, right? That he's against these international companies, right? That he's against the open pension funds and so on and so on. But if you're, for example, more left-oriented, you know, like social democrat or people called post-communists, both Hungarian and the Polish left are based on the post-communistic parties, right? So basically, you hate Orban, and basically, we are extremely afraid in Poland about Jobbik. You know, like because Jobbik, this is the serious party, right? They already have, you know, 18% of votes, you know, and they are already the leaders. They already said that they would like to have the official list of the Jews working for the Hungarian government. And this is the reason why there is not only responsibility to protect, but also the responsibility to prevent, you know. And this is the reason why we should learn from Jan Karski. You know, that if such political party are claiming such list, this is very dangerous, you know. So we are looking on the Hungary as, let's say, even more conservative part of the world that we are, less Catholic still, but this is pretty dangerous, especially among the Jobbik, you know, because Jobbik, you know, they are not only anti-Semite, but also anti-migrant, anti-Roma Sinti party. And basically, what I said to Professor Smith's class, when you will said officially in Poland, in the Polish policy, in the Polish political system, that you are anti-Semite, you basically disappear. You know, in that sense. No, honestly, there is no any one serious anti-Semitic party in the Polish parliament. You know, when you will say that you need that you ask for such list of Jews, you will basically be punished by law as well.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I guess the question I have is just a two-parted question. So in April, the period we're in now, what's the biggest source of tension between Poland and the United States and the other parties? What element or what factor is bringing Poland and the United States closer, or has the potential to bring us closer?
Military force. So we basically, we have the professional army right now, so this is more or less 100,000 people, serving in our army. But we know that with such possible enemy as Russia, we will lose in 3 days, We believe on NATO Article 5, Washington Treaty. We believe, but history taught us that we shouldn't believe so much for many reasons, So this is the reason why I'm saying we should have more American troops, because at least they will be involved, If they will be involved, so your president, vice president, or the secretary of state said, okay, doesn't matter, we can sacrifice that, And what I said in my presentation about the effective common foreign and security policy, because Poland for many years been for the European army. We said yes, we should have the European army. This is not the new concept. This is from mid ages. And we said that we should have a European army, but every single time there was like this European fight. French said that but you're too pro-American with Brits. So we don't want to be under their oppression. And the Germans said yes and no. So we are saying, okay, today we must be extremely pragmatic, You don't look on your allies. You make the good relation with your partners. There is also this Machiavelli phrase: keep your enemies far from you and friends close to you. So we don't want to have the very far friends on the other side of the Atlantic. We would like to have them in our country.
How would you say Poland's eagerness to support the neighborhood program is being received by the rest of the European Union, and how does that put Poland in the greater perspective of foreign policy creation by the European Union?
Probably you know that Eastern Partnership was not only Polish project, it was also Swedish one, right? So Carl Bildt, the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Sweden, this is one of the beloved policymakers in Poland right now. But we are very often saying that European Union can enlarge to the east, not to the south, from obvious reasons, And we are saying that, of course, we should show them a carrot, not only a stick, So it was going pretty well till economic crisis, because in the end somebody can have to pay for this carrot, and we know that who pay for this carrot? Germany. And Germany, they have their own problems, not with the German economy. They have with the other Eurozone member states. So when Aleksander Kwasniewski was a special representative of the European Union in Ukraine, also among to Yulia Tymoshenko trial with Pat Cox, he went to Frau Merkel, and he said that Yanukovych will not sign this agreement as long as there is no money on the table. We must double the price of the Russia can provide. And Angela Merkel said, Alexander, I like you a lot. I accept your point of view, but I will lose the elections. Not this one, another one. Like my taxpayers will not they don't understand why we should spend money for Greece. In the other sense, they are obliged to support the Greece because the Maastricht Treaty agreement, basically, France and Germany break as the first countries. But the voters, like the normal common people in Germany, they don't understand why we should spend money for Greece, Italy, Spain, and I don't know. And for Ukraine, Ukraine is even not a member of the European Union, right? But Poland, we are like this great advocate. Yes, we are saying yes, we understand you, but maybe a little bit, right? We had, of course, problems with such countries from the Eastern Partnership. They basically are extremely undemocratic, because, for example, with Belarus, with our neighbors, Lukashenko. So if we will say, if I will tell you like our relation between 0 to 10, so 10 is top, 0 is very bad, we will have 2, more or less, something like that. Armenia, Azerbaijan, you know, but from many, there is also a geographic reason, you know. Some people in Poland also say, why Georgia should be a member of the European Union, right? This is not the European, in the geographic point sense, country, you know. Sometimes even like the polls also show that Israel should be, you know, the part of the European Union because they are not in Europe in the sense, but they are very European country in the sense. Of course, this is why some polls are making some jokes, you know, also when you make some research about it. But Sweden is a very important player in that sense because, you know, it provides us, let's say, the old member states, you know, voice in that. You know, so we are saying, no, this is not that we are, you know, annoying new member states saying yes, enlargement, enlargement, enlargement. This is what the Swedish people are saying, you know. And this is the reason why also we are looking for another support from other member states, you know. There's, for example, one of the most important persons in the Christian Democrats, Mario David. He's Portuguese, and he's actually for, you know. This is not true that basically that all Portuguese or Spanish are against, you know. A lot of the people have, you know, they have own relations with the people, you know. So, for example, you know, Christian Democrats are much in favor of the Julia Tymoshenko. And a lot of them, they're saying, yes, why not? But they are not saying, like, that you will join the European Union right now. You must do your own homework, you know. And I already showed, you know how much homework we have to do, you know, we have to do in the future, right? In that sense. I think that is my answer.
I'd like to ask a question. How has before the Ukraine crisis started? How were Polish relations with the Baltic countries, and how have they changed with the onset of the crisis?
I'm recorded, right? So with Latvia and Estonia, there is no problem, you know. Like we had almost, let's say, you know, textbook relations, you know. The biggest problem is with Lithuania, from obvious reasons, you know. There is a huge Polish minority, which basically don't have the same rights where the Lithuanian minority have in Poland. So I'm talking about the alphabet, about, you know, like the surnames, you know, written in the IDs. So basically, if I will be the citizen of Lithuania, I will not be Rydlinski. I will be Rydlinski Skas, you know, so something like that. I will be a little bit changed form. Not everybody remember about this symbolic trip of Lech Kaczyński to Vilnius. Just before the smallest tragedy, he was in Lithuania, in Vilnius, you know, in Seimas, in their parliament, you know, looking on the voting on the bill, you know, for the, let's say, Polish minority rights, and it was against, you know. So he was the witness when they refused the bill, you know. It was his last, you know, official international visit, you know, where basically Lithuanians refused. Right now, the Polish party is members. They are part of the government, you know. In Lithuania, let's say there is left Polish coalition right now. Like the Polish partner, they are the weakest one. They are very conservative, very you know, say pro-Catholic and so on and so on. But still, the policy is basically the same, you know, because we asking for example, they say double names of the streets of villages, right? And this is, let's say, for the European Union, this is pretty common, right? Like, for example, few villages, for example, between Poland and Czech Republic have the same, France and Germany, right? And for example, Germany and Poland, that you use both names. This is very symbolic, you know, like, but basically Lithuania still refuse, you know, to have such, to give such laws to Polish minority. But Ukraine changed a lot. You know, that we know that this is our, let's say, small, you know, let's say, I don't want to use the fight, you know, like some problems, right, we have. But after, you know, like the Crimea situation and the Ukrainian crisis, we said, yes, we are on the same team, you know, we have our same fears. So this is the reason why, for example, we are much in favor of sending our F-16 American jets to, you know, to protect their airspace, right? Because they don't have their own air force, and we have, you know. So right now, our problems are not so important as long as we have, you know, let's say, problems with our big neighbor in that sense.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Dr. Rydlinski.
Thank you so much.